I once heard the author Glennon Doyle interviewed by Elizabeth Gilbert. Something Glennon said really struck me, and years later I still think about it a lot. She said that she figured out that it's not pain that takes us down. It's the shame about the pain. And man, that comment really struck me. I thought, wow, yeah, that is exactly right. And when I think about that statement today, I realize it has a lot to do with financial planning. And if you're curious what the heck I'm talking about, then today's video is for you. Hey, I'm Dave. I'm a financial planner and founding of Turning Point Financial Life Planning, where I use the tools of financial planning to help therapists lead more authentic, balanced, and abundant lives. If you're new here, please be sure and click on that subscribe button. Now, in my written blog post on shame, which I link to below, I tell a really personal story about how I learned the power of shame to hold us back. I found that out when I walked into rehab, which, as you might imagine, was a pretty painful time in my life. And it was also a really beautiful and powerful time of my life. So much good came out of that, including a lot of insights which have served me in my life. And these insights have also helped me be of better service to others, and that, of course, includes my financial planning clients. When I think about shame and what it really does to us, to me, to everyone, is that it makes us keep secrets. If I've done something and I'm feeling a bit of shame around it, all of a sudden I'm thinking, yikes, geez, I do not want anyone to see this little mess over here. I'm just not going to tell anyone about that. And that works in a sense. It works in that my shame is protecting me from the pain of having to endure the judgment of other people. Of course, I don't really know what other people's reaction to me sharing my mess would be, but shame tells me a pretty scary and convincing story that I don't want to find out what they think. And that's all well and good, but the problem is sometimes I need help from others to help me clean up that little mess that I've got. And if I'm not willing to share what's going on for me, it's impossible for me to get that help that I actually need. But there's a huge challenge here, of course. I mean, sharing what I'm feeling shame about, that's scary. It's scary to take that first step to admit to myself that I need help. And then it's scary to take that first step and set up an appointment with a therapist, or to take that first step and set up a meeting with a financial planner. But okay, let's hold up for a minute and just talk about the difference between shame and guilt. Now, you all are therapists, and so I know you know this, but shame can be insidious, so let's spend a moment here. If I'm experiencing guilt, I feel bad for something I did. In contrast, if I'm experiencing shame, I'm feeling bad about who I am as a person. And that's obviously like a really big and key difference. Guilt is about an action I took. Shame is all about who I am as a person. And that who I am as a person, that's really what makes shame so powerful and really debilitating. Okay, so that shame versus guilt distinction probably seems pretty clear and straightforward, but the thing about financial shame is that I think it's particularly sneaky. So have you ever found yourself using language like, successful private practice owners don't struggle with finances the way I do, or I'm just no good with money, or maybe, I could never charge what that therapist across town does. Those are all common ways that people talk about money. And guess what? I think they're all shame-based statements. They aren't about an action that you've taken or really even about the situation you find yourself in. Rather, they are about you as a person. And that makes them a little dangerous to your financial health and progress. So what is the fix to this sneaky financial shame? Well, we just drag that shame, or the topic that brings out shame in you, we drag it out into the light and we talk about it. Shame just can't survive that kind of open discussion. But the good news is you can survive that uncomfortable conversation about whatever is causing you a little bit of financial shame. But I mean, I get it. Just because this is a simple fix sure does not make it an easy one. And I guess really the first challenge is figuring out who is a safe person to have that kind of vulnerable conversation with. I think that, sometimes starting with a close friend or a colleague could be the right place. But other times, I think a stranger could feel safer or maybe even more appropriate. And that stranger could be a new therapist for you, maybe even a financial therapist, and it could even be a financial planner. I think, to be sure, not all therapists or all financial planners are going to be ready to sit down and have that kind of intimate conversation about your financial life and any shame you might be holding, but many are. We are out there and we're around and available, but you might have to look a little bit harder to find us. Anyway, let me wrap up this video and share my 4 key pointers for dealing with financial shame. And if you'd like to read more about what I have to say on this subject, be sure and click on the link to the full blog post. You can find that down below. All right, so the 4 pointers. First, be kind and compassionate with yourself. Even if some of your financial behavior frustrates you, recognize that behavior is serving you in some way. You are meeting a real need that you have, and also you're doing the best you can with the tools you've got at your disposal. The world of finance is really complex, and humans, we're imperfect. We all make financial mistakes, and that includes me and every other financial professional I know. Second, be on the lookout for shame hiding in the way you talk to yourself about money. Your financial situation is not a reflection of who you are. It is simply a result of past behavior. And with a compassionate mindset, you can work to change that behavior and improve your financial situation. Third, if it feels helpful and safe, speak to a trusted friend or a trustworthy stranger about what triggers your financial shame. I found personally, and I've seen this in others, that sharing with another human being really lessens the grip and the power that shame can hold. Fourth and finally, mindfully and critically evaluate your need for professional financial advice. Shopping for a financial advisor is much like finding a therapist. The fit has got to be right. If you're feeling shamed or judged in any way, move on. There are financial professionals who will work with you in a kind, compassionate, and even heart-centered way on money and finance. But it might be a bit harder to find us. You have to search a little bit. All right, so that's it for this week's video. I hope it was helpful. If you're looking for more guidance around the nuts and bolts of money and finance, including how to navigate your emotions around this stuff, be sure and check out my free guide to financial planning for therapists. You can find a link to that guide below. And I'd love to hear how I can improve these videos. What made sense? What was unclear? What else would you like to hear about? Please give me a shout. The link to do so is also below. And as always, thank you so much for spending a bit of your day with me today, and have a great rest of your day.